What up, Doe? It is maybe the last old guys pod of the NFL season. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the guys want to do. Here's what I'm sure about. We are 1 day, 18 hours, 54 minutes, and 14 seconds away from the playoffs, the divisional round. As we tape this, we also have Uncle T. We have JT and Uncle T before we came on. And the reason why I got us on the air was not only because we were late, but because I wanted JT to tell his story on the air. So what were you making fun of JT for? His hat, his beanie, or his whatever? This condom? What the fuck is that?
No, I don't mind. It looks a little snug on his bald head, but I'm not saying I don't like it. It's not bad for JT.
Okay, so you do like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like it.
And JT was going to be like, what? What were you going to explain? What's your
so first of all, it's so as everybody knows, I grew up in New York, or most people know, right? And did everything I could to get out of New York. Now I live in Atlanta, and it's pretty fucking cold this week in the South. And I had to fly to Dallas. And last week, as I saw the weather, I was kind of excited about it. I had to go to Dallas on Tuesday. It was all right here. It was a little chilly. It was like in the 30s, which isn't great. But when I landed in Dallas, it was 14 degrees on Tuesday afternoon. I didn't take this hat off. I put it on when I landed. I didn't take it off until I went to bed Tuesday night. And when I landed here today, the temperature has steadily gone down, and I'm just too cold. I don't have any hair, as you people know. I appreciate that, Kevin Gallagher. Thank you. It's not quite a swim cap. It's what you would call a classy beanie. So it's a classy beanie. Snyder, how are you? Don Yeezy's here, doing Holden's job once again. But look, what I would say is I was in, it was pretty cold, and as the more I wore this beanie, the more it kind of grew on me, and I like the look of it. So I went out to eat on Tuesday night. I was in a sports bar, watching my NBA teams, and it was great. I got a lot of attention from the staff, and I thought I would just keep it on.
Is this a bald guy thing though, where you always have to wear a hat when it's cold? Can you ever just free ball it with your head?
Well, I mean, it depends on the temperature, Holden. Like I said, it was 14 degrees.
Yeah, 14, you have to wear a hat.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I have hair.
15, he was good. 14, he needs a beanie.
See, that's the type of thing that you would say with your little blue Titleist on. I know. I understand, right?
I wore blue for the Dallas fans today.
Yeah, no, that's
all
great.
the Dallas go hard. I wore blue for
tired. Right, the Bengals are dead, so the creamsicle clothing is away. That'll be back out next, fall. But no, it's like 20 degrees here in Atlanta, and my office there's big windows next to me that you sometimes can see. Thank you, Paul and Boats, if that's how you say your name. So it keeps me warm. That's it. And it's stylish, by the way. It's stylish.
Now let's pump the brakes a little bit on the stylish part.
It's stylish.
Give me a second. There we go.
Yeah, there's my guy
right there.
There is my guy.
Like to bring this up because JT was incorrect about the origin of this, but that's okay.
Well,
let's talk about that. I wasn't part of that. Let's talk about that. Well, I think JT was right from what I heard.
Last week, I think it was Thursday, we didn't have an up to lock show, and I'm like, guys, I need to work. I need something to do to keep my mind active. So I went on, and Mangone was on it. I think Schlong was on it. I'm trying to figure the other guy. It might have been DC. So in the chat during the Thursday Hardwood show, there was a guy that said he was a realtor. And all of a sudden, he started bragging about how he can sell this and he could sell that, and he'll sell your home. Well, for whatever reason, I went in again to work because we didn't have an up to lock show. And for whatever reason, Mangone decided to dress up like this.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
100%.
It may have. So I honestly think I'll tell you what happened. Here's what happened. I needed coverage on one day, and I stepped in for Travis. So it was Thursday. It was me, you, and Schlong, I think.
You were on that show?
Yeah. Travis was in chat. Travis was in chat is what happened.
I did a show with you?
Yeah. So here's what happened. Now I remember perfectly. It's crystal clear. So there was a guy in chat David S. Torres.
Yes, real
estate, right? So we're David S. Torres. Right? So I end up Googling the David S. Torres thing, and I'm like, oh, and we're telling chat, hey, guess where he's a realtor? And I was like, I think it's Florida. Turns out it's Texas and Florida. By the way, if you need a house in Texas or Florida, David S. Torres.
Mangone.
You can find, and Mangone is Colorado only. Mangone is Colorado Springs, the high net worth areas there.
He's trying to get into Wyoming as well.
Okay. Well, he can try there all he wants. The bottom line is we don't have any. First of all, we don't have any subscribers in Wyoming. But what I would say is, yeah, I don't think DFS, Montana, Wyoming, it's bad. It's not allowed. Utah too, for one of Yeah. So anyway, so that's what happened is we're going back and forth with these guys in chat, and Travis puts on there, real estate, whatever. And then I was talking to him on Monday or Tuesday, and he's like, I said, you have to put a suit and tie on. It was his idea. I said, you have to do it. You have to do it. We picked out the background. He got Rubio in on it. And there was a discussion about whether or not to include you. And I said, no, fuck Holden. So what happened was they let it be a complete surprise to you, and it was fantastic.
Oh, so it did happen on a show. I just don't understand. I don't remember doing any shows with you.
It was like Thursday of last week. It was Thursday last week.
Holden. Thursday last week, Holden has no recollection.
No, I do not recall him being on the show, but it sounds right.
Yeah, I don't want to
You
comment.
were in the chat saying all that stuff.
What?
You were in the chat doing
No, I was in the chat. I was in the chat the other day. Because he told me, and I said, look, I land in Dallas. My flight was delayed all day Tuesday because of the weather. And there was a little bit of an ad lib where potentially I was going to jump into the stream and do something, but I couldn't do it because timing. But as soon as I landed and get into my hotel, I'm like, I got to turn this on and see what's going on. And I was dying the whole time. It was hysterical. Your reaction was hysterical. The whole thing with Rubio. Rubio was like, I got to take a call. It's my realtor calling me. You're like, all right, fuck this. I'm done. Schlong, by the way, and he looked like he wanted to kill himself. He was like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I agreed to do content. I don't need to do this. These people are idiots. And it was the best thing ever. I didn't get to watch yesterday's show where Travis did it again, but he did say that DC was tilted. So we might have a surprise coming tomorrow night.
So you met David S. Torres, realtor in Texas?
No.
Well, what'd you go to Texas for?
Well, I had work, Holden. I had work. I
don't know. This whole
listen to a word you say, JT.
This whole thing sounds shady. He's making up this business that we hosted a show together, which I don't think anybody recalls any of it. Then you went behind my back with DC and Mangone to come up with this bit. So
it wasn't DC. It was Rubio.
I worked with them. You show
your brain. Do you have a synapse that actually?
No, I'm just wondering how
any information.
This whole conspiracy worked. So we did the show, and then what? You called these guys. You're like, "Hey guys, we gotta go do this whole elaborate bit."
It's not. It wasn't me. Travis sent me a text, and he had this great idea, and he said, "What do you think?" And I was on the plane. I started laughing. I'm like, "You got to do it." And he was like, we talked about the outfit. We talked about the background. It was very well thought out. I thought it was very well staged. I mean, you weren't in on it because, it
was fun. I'm glad I wasn't.
It is what it is. But, so there you go. But Snyder, go ahead. Snyder, would you do us a favor? Pull up the video of last Thursday's show with me, Holden, and Schlong. And Mangone was in chat. That's what it was.
Can we get the Snyder's soldiers up?
Yeah, they're up. We saluted yesterday.
Schneider's the man.
Yeah, he's the soldier Schneider. So,
talk to us.
Well, I'm still on this whole we did a show together thing, and we need to move on. I need to move on from it. I can't do it anymore.
You apparently can't, but go on.
Talk to me, Uncle T. What's going on in your world? You've been a very busy bee.
Yeah,
I know what I want to ask you about. Hold on. Schlong does not like doing that kind of content.
I think he just doesn't like doing what you hold.
No.
He doesn't like the tomfoolery. He likes to fuck around. I just don't know if he likes to fuck around as much as
he wouldn't be a good fit for the old guys pod for sure.
He would.
No,
No,
I disagree. He has zero interest in coming on with those old.
He does?
No chance.
Does anyone ask him?
No,
He
don't have any room for him. He's
one of those guys that I think, because he's so sharp from a DFS perspective, he's going to grow into this. But right now, I think he's kind of like at that point where he's like, I really hate doing this. I'd rather be recrunching my lineups another 1,000 times to get the optimal lineup, which I completely understand, because when I first started doing this, you take a little bit of a hit and you have to rework your process, right? So I totally get that.
I think we got room for him, Uncle T.
No,
he's young.
25.
We can teach him some things. We could give him
25. He's 25.
He's not.
He's not much older than
nobody
30.
Gets married at 25. Who gets?
I think
married
Rubio might be older than him.
Holden. Rubio's getting married too. There's another one.
Rubio. Talking about Rubio, you asked what happened, what's been going on. We had a little local little card party Sunday night, and poor Rubio guy, he took it on the chin pretty much on the felt. Uncle T got him for a couple big hands there and sent Rubio packing.
Did he, in retribution, did he cut your internet cable?
No, he did not. No, he did not.
That was so witty.
Oh. JT can't let me get in a segment without interrupted.
I mean, that was the
interrupt.
It's the nicest dig ever, Uncle T.
No, he had a rough night on the felt, but that's all right. Snyder knows what it's about, playing a little hold'em on the felt and peeling some people for a couple hundred. Yeah, so it was a bad night for Rubio, but
you know what I like to play? I only really like to play 2 games: blackjack at a casino and then spades with my friends. I enjoy spades. Never gotten into poker. Spades is my game. Like I'll bet for
spades. I haven't played spades in years, but I like spades.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just a blast, and you trying to teach people about it. I just want to get back to Rubio real quick. I don't know if I've told him this. I think he's going to watch this, but he's getting married too young, Uncle T. This is not the days that you were alive when people got married in high school, right? This is now
23.
You were 23, but that was a different time. Like
you just said they got married in high school back then, and I said 23. High school isn't 23.
Oh, you were out of high school?
I was out of college.
You're out of college. Okay. But I think the point is this: in the year of our Lord 2024, Uncle T, in that year, there should not be kids this young that are committing the rest of their life to one person. I think it's a horrible idea.
I mean, it worked out for me. I got to be honest, Holden. I married up for sure. Next month, 30 years. I married up for sure. But if I had to do it over again, I'm probably on board with you, maybe. I mean, I'm happy with the thing. No, I meant you said the younger generation. She's right here.
Whoa. We have breaking news.
No breaking news. No breaking news, you donkeys.
Whoa.
Uncle T, you are awesome.
No breaking news at all, boys. Happily married, 30 years next month. So no problems here. I've got JT knows Jordan. Jordan, my middle son's engaged. He'll be getting married next year. So
how old is he?
He's 24. He'll be 25 by then.
Although you're in Kentucky, in all seriousness, I think people in Kentucky
have to do with it
earlier. You guys get married earlier than the rest.
No, that's not true.
JT, back me up. Don't you feel like people in Kentucky get married younger than the rest of the country? Like a little more than Afghanistan, but not as much as the rest of the United States of America.
I'm still reeling. I'm still reeling from this news.
I know. You do it all over again.
100% do it all over again.
If I
love this man.
had to do it all over again, I wouldn't.
You donkeys are too. Hey, you didn't even remember his question, which was the younger generation today and how they get married. That's where I put that. You donkey.
Listen. Your
Snyder,
wife
help me out here.
This, right? Your wife knows nothing about this podcast.
She's listening in the other room. Yeah.
How many years you been married?
3.
30.
33. Hey, see it 34 now, dude.
Hey, I'm the only one on this panel that's not been divorced, right?
No, you're right. You're right.
Thank
Maybe
you.
you're right.
No.
Oh, you haven't been divorced either, huh?
No.
Yeah, good job.
You thought you told me you were.
Never.
I
No,
better
sir.
pull the tape. I'm going to pull the tape. I think you mentioned it on one of the other
Yeah,
broadcasts.
you were divorced.
Absolutely not.
Where's Pooh at, by the way? 2 weeks in a row, Pooh's not on camera.
You take
Yeah.
the crawl off. Come on.
Yeah, we're gonna get Pooh back here maybe tomorrow.
Just crawl
Pooh's in the other room. It's been a long couple of days for Pooh.
Too good.
So,
What?
Holden, actually, Uncle T, this is a good question for you. Uncle T, have you ever woken up unresponsive?
Here we go.
Oh, here we're getting into the NFL content.
Unresponsive and blue in the floor of your bathroom when your personal caretaker had to come and call emergency services?
No, but evidently it's happened a couple times now to my man, what's it, Ursay, is that his name?
Yeah.
It's happened a couple times in different ways, right? Didn't he have something similar happen 2 or 3 years ago? I don't think it was.
Listen, he struggled with this. I don't want to make light of that. He struggled with it. The way that the story comes out, and he's obviously he's gotten he had some illness or whatever. But it's just the news that breaks after the NFL season is like they do such a good job of keeping some of this stuff under wraps. That it's just sort of like, wow, what's going? Because again, when they had to release a statement, because not only is he one of the more vocal owners, but he plays in a band. The band had a gig scheduled. Obviously, he wasn't around to make the gig, and he's one of those guys. It would be almost like Holden a week and a half without Jerry Jones, right? You'd be like, hey, wait a second, what's going on? Where's Jerry Jones?
Is that it?
All right, thanks. Good talk.
I didn't get the Jerry Jones part of this.
I didn't get it either.
Fuck. Oh,
Can we talk about Mike McCarthy now?
Whatever you want.
Sure.
No, I thought maybe you guys would have a take on the McCarthy thing. Did you think he should be fired?
No. Jerry Jones actually has. You know why? They're not going to win a Super Bowl anyways. Doesn't matter what coach. But
I think he wants. Go ahead.
They just have a grown up like running the organization now. He's brought stability at least to the organization, but this organization's cursed. They're not winning anything, dude. They sold their soul in the 90s. Good night. Everything's done. Jerry Jones ain't winning another Super Bowl. It's done. He'll be dead by the time it happens. Sorry, Jerry, but it's over. Yeah, it's just not happening. As long as he is in control of the team, from a player standpoint. I mean, he's a general manager, owner, everything. As long as he is in that, no. Stick a fork in them. They're not going to win until he's out as that.
I think he always wants to have someone in charge of the head coaching job that he can control. That's just a yes guy or okay guy. Right. Like he can control McCarthy to a certain point. Like he doesn't want somebody like Belichick in there or something like he that's what he probably needs. Somebody like, not necessarily like Belichick from the standpoint of his age and all that. I'm talking about somebody that he can't necessarily control, that would want to have a lot to do with and say in a lot of parts of the organization. I don't think he wants that. I think Gary wants control over all that.
Just sorry, Uncle T. Jimmy Johnson. I mean, that was the whole thing. They hated each other. Jones knew that, this guy was too good of a coach, though, and that was it. And they won, and they went their separate ways. Belichick was never going to the Cowboys. So, I get that the two guys are friends. JT, it's just a power struggle at that point. These guys have too big egos.
Well, I mean, you mentioned there that Johnson was too good a coach. Where did he go after that? Nowhere.
Miami.
And what?
Didn't he go to Miami?
He may have gone there for a season, 2 seasons. He didn't have nearly the talent. Nice. But a couple of things from a different perspective. One,
4 years.
What?
4 years in Miami.
Okay, great. We talk on this show every week and all throughout the season on our content about the state of coaching in the NFL, and I think generally recognized as there's a weakness there, right? The state of coaching in the NFL is pretty weak, and you've got a head coach who is getting you 12 wins a season, and yeah, it didn't work out. It was a terrible performance. There's no question about that for the Cowboys. But that's number one. Number two is you have talent on the offensive side of the ball, and he's figured out how to use it. That switch from run first to pass first. And I think the NFL has a real problem in certain markets. And this is something that we'll talk about with Atlanta here too. Why I gave up my season tickets is, do you want to watch a Mike McCarthy team? Or do you want to watch a Mike Tomlin run team? Mike Tomlin's a great coach too. Mike Tomlin, Mike Vrabel, their goal from the time the whistle goes off, that kickoff, is to get to the end of 60 minutes. That's pretty goddamn boring as an NFL fan. It just is. It just is. Run the clock, as few offensive plays as you can. It's actually pretty bad for DFS as well. And here you got a guy who's figured out how to use his best weapons on offense. They had a pretty electric defense. They had some injuries early in the season that people aren't really taking into account because Dan Quinn has always been pretty good defensively. So I think when you add all that up and you say, all right, I can't remember the cornerback's name, but he'll be back next season. They can retool a little bit on defense. Yeah, there you go. And they're still going to have this electric offense. Why would you completely change the chemistry there? And first of all, who else is in the market, right? It's all unknowns, right? I mentioned Belichick and Vrabel, great coaches. They're not bringing fans to the stands to watch that offense, right? Dallas, you want to go to those games. You want to watch that offense play. You want to watch Dak. You want to watch CeeDee Lamb. You're interested now in Jake Ferguson, who's turned out to be potentially a really good talent. So I think you look at the coaches out there, right? They're not going to hire an Antonio Pierce. And I don't know if the guy from Houston is actually going to leave because Houston maybe is, we'll talk about this, maybe is going to be out of the playoffs this week. But what else is there to go? And where do you go from a McCarthy that's an upgrade? I don't think there's really a lot of it out there. So good, you're speechless. I love it. I love it when that happens.
I mean, what was the point?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
JT.
I can't.
JT, I'm on the other side a little bit, but I definitely, the way you explained it. No, you didn't let me finish. I agree with the points that you made as far as making a case why you would keep him. I get that 100%, but I know you're saying who would they get in there, but I mean, right now, winning 12 games and getting to the first round of the playoffs and getting your ass kicked, if that's good for you, I don't think that's what Jerry Jones wants. I don't think Dallas hasn't won Super Bowl in 30 years. Like they haven't won a play. Like,
well, that's
going to learn another offense. Dak Prescott, come on.
What's that? It's not whose fault.
It's not McCarthy's fault that they haven't won in 30 years.
Okay, but because you're going to give me a notch on the left side of his. Okay, well, I wasn't here 30 years ago, but I've been here how many years, and I haven't gotten it done.
4 years.
Okay.
4 years.
Okay,
but 4 years. Listen, all right. If you judge every coach by their ability to win a championship in 4 years, 95% are out the door.
Well, I agree with that to a point, but everybody was choking Dallas from here to there the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. They're this, they're that. You can't beat them at home. They're scoring 40. They're just running roughshod. I took my L on Philadelphia. I was on Philadelphia, and they sucked too. You know what I mean? So I'll take my L there. But there was no way Dak Prescott – I don't trust Dak Prescott in the playoffs. Similar to where, at least right now, until he proves us different this week, probably Lamar Jackson. And I know Snyder's going to be upset with me. But I think one of those two games on Saturday blows out. I just don't know which one it is. It could very well be Baltimore blowing out Houston. But I don't know. I think there should have been a change made, in my opinion. And the thing is, JT, you could keep what they started back in week, what was it, 3 or 4, when they went away from Pollard and they went to this more slinging around the yard stuff. I agree with that. That's a lot more fun to watch as a fan, and DFS and all that. So you're saying that, and you think that if they got rid of McCarthy they couldn't necessarily get the next guy in, whoever that would be, to run a similar system and keep up with that kind of momentum, if you will, before last week's game and to carry that into next year. I think they could.
Who are they going to bring in? How many offensive-minded coaches are there out there? There just aren't. Like, we do this every week when we see, okay, here are the offenses I want to play, and it's 3 on a 13-game slate, right? It's the Niners. It's the Dolphins. It's been the Cowboys. This year, for the most part, it's been the Texans. The Bengals before Joe Burrow went down. Look at the Chiefs this year and the Bills this year. We haven't wanted to play those teams. So I think it's hard to say that someone is going to – it's easy. Let's say this. It's hard to say it's easy to find a replacement value for McCarthy that's going to do the same thing and be better in the playoffs.
I just think you're thinking that McCarthy is the only guy that could ever coach Dallas with this current roster build.
That's
Uncle T. Let me ask you this. So first of all, who's replacing McCarthy?
Well, again, you guys are catching me where I don't have a list of candidates in front of me. I'm just saying, like you got the whole all season.
Let's move past that. Yeah. The next thing is Prescott. You're firing the offensive coordinator. He's got to learn another new offense. This happens every single year. The running game did not really get going last year. That's something they need to beef up. Defensively, they just got shredded. So I don't think that McCarthy, unless I'm no McCarthy guy, because I feel like he always costs his team, usually with one important call. There wasn't that opportunity here. He usually costs his team in the playoffs. Nonetheless, there's no reason for me to change the whole thing. Why are we blowing the whole thing up with this guy?
How are you blowing the whole thing up? You're not getting rid of any of the players. Who are you blowing? What are you blowing up?
You're blowing up the head coach and every other coach that's there and the systems that are already in place.
We got to move on. We got to move on. Why? Like I'm on an island here. I thought for sure it'd be 3-0 here.
All right.
But you can't. So wait. But we're having a debate. A debate isn't just. I mean, are you tapping out and saying,
you guys keep making the same point. Like, okay, who are they going to get in? Who are they going to get in?
After that,
no one they can get in will be able to run that offense. It's impossible. Like, let's win 10, 11, 12 games. Let's get to the playoffs because that's what McCarthy will give you. And let's be okay with that at the end of the year, getting a loss in the playoffs. They haven't even been to the NFC Championship game in how long?
So, but McCarthy's been there 4 years. And I think the point that I believe it was Greg Olson made was how many fan bases would kill?
Oh, God.
Would you not?
We could go through this. We can go with
enjoy 12 wins this season, Uncle T?
I think we need to move on. Right. No, because I'm not going to be able to convince you after you already have it in your head that you love McCarthy for some reason. Look at like 90% of the Dallas fans. Look at all the people in the media. Everybody was screaming they should let him go. Dallas people.
Listen, let's not even go there. But if you have, but what's your argument? What's your argument of who they should have brought in?
Oh,
that's what we're asking. Who would they?
I don't have a list.
He doesn't have
right
list,
in front. You're just saying let's keep him. Let's keep him. Let's keep him. He won 12 games. We're real happy with 12. We didn't win one playoff game. We had all these high hopes. Everybody was blowing us for 8 weeks, but we got beaten our ass kicked against a very average to above average Green Bay team at the end of the year. Okay. At home where they couldn't lose. Right? Oh, they're dominant at home. They were a 10-point favorite or whatever it was. It went down to 7 and they got their ass kicked. But you're okay with that just because you don't want to get rid of holier than thou McCarthy because he's only been there 4 years.
It was Dak's fault.
I didn't say it was Dak's fault. The defense was the biggest problem. Yeah, but somebody's got to be held accountable when you got all those expectations. And so you're just okay with letting guys stay on and make no changes.
Again, it's not I'm okay with make no changes. It's where is the upgrade? Who is the upgrade?
You're a big Dallas fan. I didn't know that.
I'm not. It has nothing to do with Dallas. Where is the upgrade? Who is the upgrade?
They could find somebody.
Because great NFL coaches grow on.
He's not a great NFL coach.
Okay, but if you're going to replace him, if you're going to replace the guy, that Jim Harbaugh. Oh my Christ. If you're going to replace him, you've got to replace him with someone that can at least replicate what he's done.
Why?
Okay?
Why do you have to do that though? You haven't gotten
You
anywhere.
want to replace him with somebody who's going to win 8 games?
No, but JT, you haven't gotten anywhere. You haven't gotten to the Jerry Jones doesn't want to just get to the playoffs. Dallas is a different animal, right? Dallas is America's team. They're not going to want to just get to the playoffs every year and get beat by whatever it is. So why not try to make a change? Why do you have to blow up everything?
Because
When you relieve the head coach and everyone that he's hired, guess what? Many of them are going to go somewhere else. They are. Correct.
Because
That's
this
correct.
is the guy who.
But
So
the
that
players,
is blowing up everything.
but if the players stay there, they'll be able to run a similar offense with a different staff. You're acting like no other staff can come in and run that. That's the general point that I'm making.
I'm saying who is the staff, and you don't have a name. Come on.
All right, enough of this. We're 31 minutes into the show.
I never dreamed we'd go off the rails on Dallas discussion with McCarthy.
Anyway, it's the most upsetting thing when Uncle T gets upset with me.
I'm not upset at all. I'm straight. I'm looking straight. I'm not upset at all.
Uncle T, are we in World War III right now? Let's just change it up.
I never dreamed we'd have a long
degree.
topic on McCarthy. I shouldn't have brought it up.
It was a fantastic topic.
So I just asked you about World War III, and you went back to
because he can't be. He's irreplaceable with this group that they got. He's irreplaceable.
Oh my God.
JT, you got any conspiracy theories you'd like to share?
No.
You don't have any conspiracy theories?
No. My head hurts right now. But
Uncle T, do you believe in any conspiracy theories? Did man land on the moon? Did America land on the moon? Was it a real?
Is the Earth flat?
I think the Earth used to be flat.
I think it is flat. I'm not serious. Let me talk about Atlanta for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. You go ahead. You're on your own on Atlanta. That's your resident team. I can't. Go ahead.
Uncle T, who are you texting? Is that your wife that was watching?
No, it was somebody else.
Okay.
Somebody else. It was the girl you wish you see married 30 years ago.
Uncle T.
It wasn't the wife. It was Snyder. I messaged Snyder.
Oh, I thought you were flexing, man. It's like, no, it's somebody else.
No.
It's another one.
Right.
Uncle T.
So listen,
right, keep going.
Every
Atlanta.
Every Atlanta Falcon fan, a lot of the people, a lot of the media here hate this Belichick idea. They hate it. And I get it, right? I understand that, Desmond Ridder. First of all, Desmond Ridder, here's the thing on Desmond Ridder. He may not be the quarterback of the future. He may not be a great NFL quarterback. I think there's some evidence that he's not great. But he's also a young quarterback that could develop, that his development was stunted because Arthur Smith had to go to Taylor Heineke because he knew his job was on the line, right? So this kid gets benched in a year where it's and really, yeah, he made some mistakes with holding the football, things like that. But the real issue was not using your player personnel. Here's the thing. What if, having watched this Patriots offense for the last, I don't know how many years, what if all of a sudden next season, Bill Belichick can turn Kyle Pitts and Geno Smith into Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews?
Not with Desmond Ridder.
Maybe not with Desmond. Well, who knows?
I mean, kind of very inaccurate passer of the football. And I think
they got the 8th pick in the draft this year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, mock drafts are all nonsense. We'll see what happens in the draft. But they have good personnel on defense. You get here's a different situation. You get a good offensive coordinator into Atlanta who looks and says, hey, here are my talented personnel. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Tyler Algier is a nice change of pace back. We need another wide receiver. Geno Smith can be a nice, a nice complement to the offense. I think you've got a contending team, not a Super Bowl team, but you've got a contending team that can get there with a couple of pieces away. Yeah, that's right. Mark Andrews may play on Sunday, Snyder. That's true.
Likely not.
Andrews?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But he might, Snyder.
Is that a true statement? Why are you being?
Because I watched the Harbaugh press conference today, and he kind of was like, it seemed like he was covering it. He was like, "Oh, there's a chance." Like, maybe. Laporta playing on that knee last week was just shocking to me. That blew me away.
Wasn't he scored a touchdown? I mean,
yeah,
he's
impressive. That kid is impressive. All right, so we got a 4-game slate coming up, gentlemen.
Yes.
Are you done with your Atlanta spiel?
I'm done because you're both. You both
Uncle T,
I didn't say a word.
No, do you care? Do you want to say something about it?
No, I'm good. I agree with JT
so we have
Atlanta take.
Now he's butt hurt.
He is.
I love JT Hayes. He's one of my favorite guys.
So we've got a 4-game slate. We got Houston, Baltimore, Green Bay, San Francisco, Saturday. Let's talk about the 4-gamer, by the way. Tampa Bay, Detroit, KC, Buffalo. Before we even get into anything with DFS, I just want to get your thoughts on each and every game from a macro level, I guess. Houston, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson to me is going to go absolutely ape shit. I do think, Stroud could keep him in this game, but ultimately Baltimore just has too much. And not that it seems like a big deal. Noah Brown, another wide receiver down for Stroud. So that concerns me a little bit. Green Bay, San Francisco, Niners going to roll there. Tampa Bay, Detroit, interested in your thoughts there because I feel like Tampa Bay could keep it within a touchdown. We can discuss why. And then Kansas City, Buffalo, the big one. Uncle T, why don't you start with Kansas City, Buffalo, buddy? Because a lot of people at RPS now on the Bills, -2.5. Most places now it's 3, and I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, I kind of right now I'm leaning Bills, but I want to see how many of these guys are in, right? I mean, they've got a lot of guys that are questionable or not playing on the defensive side of the ball, right? I don't know. It's scary because so many people, it feels like, maybe it's because I'm just listening to a lot of the RPS guys, but it feels like everybody's on one side. And when that generally happens, it's not good. But, Buffalo's got this game right in the spot that they want it, right? At home. I know both the Bills and the Bengals the last 2-3 years have had this game against Kansas City on the road. And it's been a whole different story where, everybody gets tilted because they think Kansas City gets all the calls at home. I think it sets up for Buffalo to win this game, but this might be the game out of the 4, Holden, that I have the least amount of kind of confidence in, as crazy as it sounds, even though it's a smaller spread. I do like Buffalo on the surface, but it worries me that everybody seems to be on the Bills here. So that's my take on that one. I think the 2 games on Saturday, like I mentioned earlier, I do feel like one of these 2 games is going to blow out. I don't necessarily have a huge take on which one it might be. I think if I had to choose, I think it would be Baltimore that probably blows out Houston. Green Bay, well, I mean, you say that. And again, I was on Dallas last week too. So even though we had the discussion about Dallas, I was on Dallas last week. And Green Bay, I mean, what Love is doing right now, we saw it earlier in the year, and then he went back the other way. And then he's had 3 different seasons, Jordan Love. He played well, and then he went through a stretch where he wasn't very good. And now he's playing pretty doggone good. San Fran on the 2-week layoff, or by the time they played, obviously 2 weeks off with the extra week. I can see Green Bay hanging around maybe a little bit more than I can see Houston hanging around. And the game is for the other game I haven't talked about, Tampa Bay, Detroit. That's the game I'm going to target for the most part for DFS. I just think this game on both sides, I just think both sides are going to have a hard time stopping the other. I think this game could get in the 30s. So from a DFS standpoint, which is what we'll talk about here briefly or in a minute, I like that game for DFS, and I think Tampa's got a puncher's chance of winning this game as far as an outright dog in the Detroit game.
All right, JT, which game are you most looking forward to? Maybe a couple thoughts on each game.
I agree with Uncle T on the Tampa Bay at Detroit game. I last week I was talking about Baker on the Monday slate, on the 6-game slate. Baker absolutely smashed. Evans did not. I like Baker again. I like Evans again. I think, look, that game for Green Bay, young team, young quarterback, sort of their Super Bowl here, right? Beating Dallas in Dallas. I kind of think that 49ers are going to roll here. So I like the Niners. You know, at first glance, this Ravens-Texans game, I'm like, man, the Ravens should win, and it should be. I'm just not going to count out DeMeco Ryans. I'm not going to count out C.J. Stroud. When you look at the Ravens receivers, it's like if Andrews isn't back, who do you really trust, right? This Texans defense has been okay, and they've been pretty good against the run. And, you know, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr., Bateman, I mean, there's just not a lot there. And you make the point that they have another big injury at receiver on the Texans side, but you still have Nico Collins. You still have Dalton Schultz. Devin Singletary can catch passes out of the backfield. They've done a good job resurrecting him. I don't know if Texans win. I think that game could be close, though. And then the last game, you know, I don't have a great read on Kansas City Buffalo. Kansas City has been mediocre for much of this season. Buffalo seemed to turn it on. However, I was not very impressed with that game against Pittsburgh. That game got real close. That game, I think, if Pittsburgh had a quarterback, I think that game swings the other way. And I don't know if I love Mahomes for DFS, but 6,800 for Patrick Mahomes on this slate when, you know, he's only going to be 14% owned. It's tempting. It's tempting. And so I think that game is going to be because they played earlier this season. It was kind of a, you know, watching paint dry type of game, two teams, two heavyweights feeling each other out. I think you're probably going to see somewhat of the same, but I could see Kansas City getting the better of them.
All right. We need to avoid all of our Buccaneers or our
I don't know if you need to do that, but I just don't see it as one-sided as a lot of the public does, right?
I mean, that's 3 points is what I think a lot of us are thinking that are betting it. It's 3 points and you're at home. And these two teams are probably even at a neutral site, I would think at this point. Buffalo's hot. I get it. The passing game, still Kelsey and Rice. They're limited to that. The Bills side, Allen's been on fire. If he doesn't turn the ball over, if he turns the ball over, though, if he has a Josh Allen game, then they're totally screwed. Like they're not winning that game. You can't lose a turnover battle.
I'll tell you this: I think Kansas City has the defensive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And in DFS on that 4-gamer, 2-7 for the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, I like that. I think this, JT, I like that. I think this game, and it's the reason I don't have a great read on the side. I think this game underwhelms all around. I just think it could be an easily a 2017 or a 17-13 game. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I just don't want to, me personally, because we've gone through these for how many weeks now as far as these games, and I always feel like I want to be against the Chiefs, and I don't want to blindly just bet Buffalo because I don't like the Chiefs. You know what I mean? So I'm very uneasy on this game out of the 4 for sure, but I think this game underwhelms from a DFS standpoint.
Okay. Yeah.
The other thing, just one last point here. These two teams, for not being divisional rivals, they played a lot against each other, man. They know each other quite well. The coaching staffs know each other well. The players, that usually lends itself to the same thing we saw earlier this year, where it's a little bit slower pace, a little bit more cautious. Offense is not wanting to make mistakes.
Oh, I think Pacheco's got to be another week where Pacheco's going to live, and Rice has just turned into a stud. I don't expect 30 points again, but Rice has to be in the mix. And the interesting question I'll have is Steph Diggs at this point. He's getting targets, but he's catching it. What is his yards per? What's his air yards? His yards per catch? Because it just seems like he's running slants, and that's the end of it. So let's get into it.
Seems like Diggs is unhappy for sure. It just seems like he's just hasn't been in sync all year, really, with him for some reason.
That's the thing, though. First half of the season, he was unstoppable.
Yeah.
And then it just poof, they got rid of their offensive coordinator, right? And Diggs was not as important anymore. So Houston, Baltimore, let's just go position by position. JT, I'll start with you at QB. Josh Allen, $8K, $100 less. You're getting Lamar. Then you've got Mahomes at 6,800. Like you said, you want to go way down. Love 6,200. Mayfield 6K. Nice little range there, whether you want to spend up or not spend up, but you talked about Mayfield. He's squarely in the pool. He might be your number one again.
He's the guy that leads my list, just because of the price, because of the weakness of Detroit's secondary, because of how I see that game playing out. I think that game is closer to a 31-28 game than maybe any of these other games. Especially, Baltimore, you're going to have some wind, cold temperatures and some wind, right? And this game, the only one in the dome is Tampa Bay and Detroit. So we'll see if that makes that game more popular. If not, I like Baker a lot. I like Brock Purdy a lot. Dak so I'll say Dak had the bad interception. However, it looked to me like it was more a great play by Jair Alexander, to be honest, that first interception. The second one was terrible. But I like Brock Purdy here at 6,500. After that, Dak was pretty good against the secondary. So I like Purdy at 6,500 a little bit. And then Goff had a disappointing game last week against the Rams. I mean, disappointing based on his popularity. But at 6,300 against the pass funnel and a defense that you really can't run against, they're not going to have success on the ground against Tampa Bay. At least I don't expect them to. I think Goff is in play at 6,300. And just based on what we talked about with that Buffalo-Kansas City game, maybe I'll sprinkle in some Mahomes, but I think mostly that game is kind of running back or bust for me, at least right now.
Uncle T, you may have said who your favorite quarterback is, but I don't remember. So I'm going to say that your favorite quarterback this week is Jared Goff.
The way I'm going to approach, at least again Thursday here, we got a day and a half, 2 days here to figure it out. I kind of like the bottom four guys on the board here. I like Purdy, Goff, Love, and Mayfield. I like kind of the bottom end of the range because one of the savings it gives you too, based off of like JT mentioned, obviously Baltimore is going to have some weather, maybe some wind. You got Buffalo that obviously is probably not going to be ideal conditions. You got Tampa and Detroit in the dome. Why wouldn't you try to target both Goff and Mayfield from that standpoint for the obvious reasons? And then Purdy sets up well in that and Purdy and Love set up well in the other game because of both reasons. I think Purdy could get there. Purdy probably would be the least favorite out of the four, and just because I think if they get the lead on Green Bay, it could be all CMC, and maybe they don't throw it as much. But I do like Love on the other side because, again, if you're going by that approach that maybe San Fran gets out 14-3 or 17-3, Love's going to have to try to chuck it to get back in the game. So I like the bottom four Holden on the board here a little bit more than the top end guys. Like I said, I think the Kansas City Buffalo game underwhelms a little bit. So that kind of throws both Allen and Mahomes kind of, to the side for me, at least for right now, unless I change my mind. The one guy I would go to if I went up top would be Lamar Jackson for sure. I think if I was going all the way up there, it would be him and then try to build, based off of the, the higher end quarterback there. So that's kind of where I'm at. If I had to rank them for me as far as the bottom four guys, it would probably be Goff or Mayfield and then Love and then Purdy as far as, those bottom four starters there from 65 down to 6K.
Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL this season. He's the most valuable player. I expect him to play like that in the playoffs and outduel some of these top quarterbacks like a Mahomes or an Allen, or on the other side, up top as well. So I'm all over the Lamar Jackson play here. So we did get something from the premium show chat from Racer. If Uncle T unhappily married, he must dye his hair cause he would be gray. He had
just got the lettuce cut today, boys. It's real thin up there today. Just got the lettuce cut. A lot of gray up there today.
You got a lot of brown up there still. That's
no,
good.
I got a lot of gray. The camera must be helping me. I got a lot of gray. The camera's definitely helping me.
Look at this. Just the back of my head. Ton of
gray. Yours is much darker than Uncle T's, but you dye yours. I don't. So.
Oh, you stop that. I did it twice. It really worked too. I mean, it works. So let's come to you with running back, Uncle T.
Yeah.
Can we just jam in McCaffrey at 8.8? Or are there other guys we can go to, like a Pacheco at 6.4? Aaron Jones coming off a big week at a tough matchup. Gibbs, who's so explosive, way down. Even Montgomery. What do you want to do this week at running back?
Yeah, CMC. I was hoping when the pricing came out, I knew obviously that San Francisco was playing. I knew CMC. I was just curious as to what they would do. And I was hoping that they would make McCaffrey like 9,800 or 95 or 9,800. Me personally, everybody kind of comes out at a different take on this. I don't like the softer pricing. I like it when they're able to. It's same in baseball, JT. When the playoffs come around, it feels like they're soft on the pricing. DK is on the baseball slates in the playoffs. I feel like CMC at 8,800 is probably just going to be too easy to play here. So I do like him quite a bit up top. Aaron Jones, 4 straight 100-yard games, obviously is coming off the ceiling game for him of the year, is his highest fantasy output of the year and his best since week 1. So he went week 1, he put up a good game, and then last week. But he's fully healthy now. I just don't think it's going to be a good script for him. 1, because San Francisco does a good job against the run. And 2, if you're thinking they're trailing, unless you think he's going to get some dump downs, I just don't like Aaron Jones this week. My favorite guy after McCaffrey would be Pacheco, 6,400. Again, I think that game maybe doesn't get as much done through the air. Maybe they got to grind it out a little bit. And I like Pacheco at 6,400. I don't mind Cook on the other side, to be honest, at 63, but I'd probably prefer Pacheco a little bit more. And if I was going down under 6K, Singletary, again, these are all based off of game theory, right? We talk about it all the time. If Houston can kind of hang around and not get fully blown out from the beginning of this Baltimore game, Singletary at 5.7K wouldn't be the worst play. And then that's kind of all I like. So CMC, Pacheco, Singletary. And I got more interest in a lot of these high-end wide receivers. So I'll let JT get in here with his running back takes.
Yeah, I like McCaffrey at 8,800. I think, he's got success. I mean, we saw that Tony Pollard had success against his team last week. CeeDee Lamb had success when they rushed him. I like Pacheco at 6,400. I like James Cook. And a guy that I'm on a little bit, at least earlier in the week, just because I think he's a guy who maybe can catch some passes out of the backfield for this team. You can't – the Texans, you haven't had success running against the Texans. But Justice Hill is 4,800. I'm not worried about Dalvin Cook at all. That's sort of silly news there that he's there off the practice squad. Fantastic, great. He can watch the game, and if everybody breaks their legs, he'll get a touch, right?
53-year-old Dalvin Cook, no thanks.
Justice Hill at 4,800 is sort of a lower-owned guy that I'll be mixing in.
Well, that was quick. So we can go to wide receiver then, right? We can go Amon-Ra up top, 8,200, and then a $500 drop to Debo. Mike Evans, who I think we can all agree we should go back to. Maybe JT doesn't. He's just been unstoppable. In big games, he can just win you a whole week. Now, the problem is you can also have weeks like last week, but he's the ultimate boot. He's the ultimate tournament play, and that's what we want. You want any Odell Beckham this week, JT, at 4,600?
My guy is actually Mike Evans.
Yeah.
My guy is Mike Evans at 7,200. Weird game last week. They kind of didn't need him. It was sort of an easier win for Tampa Bay there. They weren't worried about that. I like him. I do like Zay Flowers at 6K. This Houston defense has been a bit of a pass funnel, and I think that Zay is okay. I like Brandon Ayuk on DraftKings. I think Ayuk is in a good spot. He's nicely priced. And then I actually like Josh Reynolds at 3,700 a little bit. That's a guy that I don't think a lot of people are going to play. It just seems a nice price point for a guy that is essentially the wide receiver 2 on the Lions. I talked about how it's going to be difficult for them to have success on the ground rushing the ball. So I think we may see a few more passes and a few more targets for Josh Reynolds.
Uncle T, any Odell Beckham this week?
No OBJ for me this week, but I'll start at the bottom where JT left off. I agree with Josh Reynolds. I played him last week at 4,300. He gave me 13 points, right? He had 7 targets, 5 for 80 yards. Clearly, I'd sign up for that again at 3,700. He gets us 13 points at that price tag. So I do like him. You could also play my guy that I'm not sure if it was Holden or JT made fun of my Trey Palmer pick. Why would I play him last week? But he did get in the box. I don't know if it was Holden. I don't know
He had
who
a
it was.
big catch.
I mean,
Run after
he
the
clearly
catch.
didn't have many catches. I think he only caught 2 balls, but he did get in the end zone. Again, he's cheap, right? And I'm going to target that game like many will, being indoors. But I might even just overstack that game. But again, going up top, you got St. Brown and Evans. I like both of them in that game. And if I was choosing between the San Francisco receivers, I'd probably take Ayuk and the $800 savings from Debo. Debo at 7.7 is fine, but he feels a little heavy on this slate as far as the price tag. I'd probably rather go down to Ayuk. And Dick talked about him earlier, 7K. The price tag is definitely enticing, but I just don't know that I'll do it. I just don't like the direction and how he's been, kind of going with that team. 7K. I mean, he's fine. He'll probably get you 10 or 12 points, but I don't know. Unless he gets in the box once or twice, I don't necessarily like that. Godwin, if you didn't want to go to Evans, Godwin's been pretty consistent in the, 10, 12, 14 points the last several weeks. You can take the price savings there. I don't like the mid-range hardly at all. And that's, if you're going to run a love lineup, though, you're going to have – because you got 4 Green Bay guys now. You've got Dobbs, you got Reed, you got Wicks, and who's the other one? Watson that came back last week. And then you got the 2 tight ends. So you just have a lot of pieces in place for Green Bay that you got to kind of pick and choose the right ones. So I don't necessarily want to get into that game. So really going all the way up top or all the way down. Reynolds is a good play. Even Jamison Williams, if you wanted to take a chance on him to break a long one, 3.6K, and then Trey Palmer at 3.5, I think is clearly in play as well.
All right, what do you want to do here, JT? You already talked about wide receivers, so let's get you into tight end, okay? Sounds good.
I think we saw last week how important the tight ends are, especially with the blitzing, the additional blitzing. I think most of the tight ends did pretty well. We obviously saw Laporta get a touchdown. We saw it was Musgraves and not Kraft for the Packers. Ferguson, huge day. Kincaid and Knox get in the end zone. Otten with 9 targets.
Huge game.
The tight ends are popular because there's more pressure on the quarterback. Teams are blitzing. They're doing different things on defense. And so I think there's 5 potentially tight ends in play here, at least ones that I wrote down. Kittle at 5,200 seems way too cheap for the Niners. I understand that they are fully healthy, fully loaded, but 5,200, I'm willing to take a shot on a low-owned George Kittle. I like Laporta and Otten both in that Detroit and Tampa Bay game. And then I'll let Uncle T talk about the rest because there's a couple of other ones that I like here, but I do think there's some concern when tight end is so important on these playoff slates. When you see Green Bay having 2 guys, right, that now their prices are a little up, and when you see Buffalo having 2 guys, there's no one main guy. So I'm focusing on the teams where there's one main guy.
Uncle T, he's right. The tight ends have just gone bonkers and at a nice price too. Now, Otten didn't get into the end zone. I don't expect him to get 11 targets and 8 catches again. He had an amazing game though, and he was my favorite tight end last week. And I know you guys had something to say, and I think it was mostly matchup based, right? But this week, can we spend up for Kelsey? Can we spend up for Laporta? Kittle is my guy this week, though. By the way, he's going to eat over the middle.
Yeah, he's my favorite play of the slate. I'm not going to overthink it. I did some research, like everybody's going to. Everybody's going to like him, but I think I'm just going to jam in Kittle here. I really am. Obviously, all these San Francisco guys are coming off the bye where they're good to go here. 5.2K is very cheap for Kittle here. We saw what Ferguson did last week against Green Bay, and it's not just because of that. They've struggled against that position all year long. Kittle's going to be my main guy here and by a pretty good amount, to be honest, by a pretty good margin. And honestly, guys, it's been a good year, as you guys know, with tight ends all year. I mean, we've had some breakout years from a lot of tight ends. Next year, going into next year's with stuff with DFS, it's going to be a fun year from the tight end because there's a ton of good tight ends that are coming through coming about. But Isaiah Likely, I like him at 4.7K. If again, let's check the Andrews news, but even if Andrews plays, I probably like likely even more if Andrews does play, the weird part, because if Andrews plays, he still can't clearly be 100%. I just can't see that he is. Maybe he will be, but I still like Isaiah Likely. So he would be my next guy. Cade Otton, I like him as well. And then going down a little bit, you just don't know. Again, you got those two tight end sets, JT, that you mentioned. And even Brevin Jordan caught what was it, like 60 or 70 yard? That was more of a fluke, I think. But still, he caught the touchdown and got a long one last week. He's only 2.7K. I couldn't imagine really going there with so many good plays up here. But I think Kittle, Likely, and Otton would be my top three. And Schultz is a good price tag too, 4.4K, and probably a trailing game script for CJ Stroud. I agree with JT. I think he could dump some passes down in the middle of the field to Dalton Schultz.
Hey, JT, can you talk to me a little bit about this Packers-Niners total at 50.5 and how many points you think that this game is going to run up?
I think 40 of them come from the Niners.
I think it's a bet that I'm going to make is the Niners too. I really like them.
Yeah. I look, I mean, you get the bye week, which helps McCaffrey, right? Because McCaffrey was a little bit banged up. If that game had mattered, which it should have mattered, right? It should have mattered had that play in Dallas. I mean, so that's the other thing about Dallas. It's like, well, they kind of lucked into that first seed there, right? Or the second seed or whatever it is. But that being said, it gives the Niners a chance to get a little bit healthier. And like Uncle T talked about with Aaron Jones, massive ceiling game. Jordan Love, massive ceiling game. Romeo Doubs out of nowhere, massive ceiling game. Nobody played him. He was like 3% owned, something like that. So my gut says the Niners win, and they win pretty easily. That's my sense on that game.
Uncle T, points, a lot of points.
Yeah, points in that one. My favorite play though right now would be the over in the Tampa Bay Detroit game. I just think I just don't see a way around that game not having points. I just can't. I'd be shocked if it was, say, 20-14 or 17-14, 20. I really would be shocked that both of them two teams could shut down the other. So my play would be more the over 48.5 in that game. And I agree. The over in the Green Bay game, if you think San Fran's putting up 40, you clearly are going to probably go over. That could be maybe a 40-14 type game. The Houston game, I think, could underachieve too. I think Baltimore could win that, 27-10 or something like that. So my play of the week would be the over in the Tampa Bay Detroit.
Very good. All right, guys. I don't know if we're doing a show next week. I'm always down to have another show with you guys. You want to give us a play of the week? I think Uncle T already said Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle from a DFS standpoint would be my top play for sure. I mean, if there was another one, I do like both Pacheco. I like Pacheco on a running back spot with CMC, but they're different position, or not the same position, but different price ranges. But I'll stick with Kittle.
JT?
Mike Evans.
Those are two of the top choices, boys. And they should be. If you're going to do that, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. I'm going to pay up for Lamar this week. Have him. Is he going to be? He's not going to be chalking.
You think Evans is going to be popular?
He should be.
He's a great.
I don't know. Did casuals play now? Did people just pick it up to play in the playoffs? I don't know. Why wouldn't you go back to him?
The reason why is because he was popular last week. He did what he did. Yeah. Usually that leads to a little bit of a downgrade in terms of. But I would play Baker Mayfield a quarterback again.
He's a 7,200. JT is cheap. I think he could easily be $400, $500, $600 more expensive, and I'd still like him.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot.
Mark's gonna go ape shit. I'm gonna be excited about that. All right, guys, we shall see if we're back next week or not. 4-1 JT Hayes and another Uncle T. I'm Holden. Keep running pure.